Gemini, this is your year 2025, new year, the big issue reading where we go over what is the biggest issue that y'all will be facing this year coming up. Heading your way, baby. So we're first going to get a archetype card. This could be for you. This could be for another person that you're dealing with. I'd like it to be for you, though. Hear that? I want it to be for you. Gemini, let's get a card for Gemini Sun. They're a big issue in 2025. Okay. Has it been a minute yet? It hasn't, so I'll say that in a minute. But accentuates the challenge of surviving without negotiating the power of your spirit. It's the light attribute of that archetype. Okay, that's a very cute card to get right off the rip. Accentuates the challenge of surviving without negotiating the power of your spirit. So, prostitute, right? Whoring yourself out, you know, like how far are you willing to go to make a buck? That's the situation at hand. So now we're going to use the So Below deck to get the material aspects of the situation, how it's showing up in your life. Get some information there, and then we'll move on to the As Above deck for a second reading to look at something else. To look at more of the spiritual and emotional and deeper meanings as to why this is what you're going through now, and get you some advice as well. The Gemini Sun, you're a big issue for 2025. Gemini Sun. This could also have to do with values too. I could see that. Gemini Sun, how are you showing up for this issue? Queen of Wands reversed. There is a part of you that hasn't integrated your darker side of yourself. Your shadow self. Do your shadow work, you know? If you're into tarot and spirituality stuff, you probably hear that a lot. I know I heard it for probably close to 10 years before I finally understood what the fuck they were talking about. The shadow self, the best way that I can describe it is the parts of yourself that's mean, rude, sets boundaries, cuts things out, kills things off, as uncompromising and unapologetic. And it's also partially the parts of yourself, you know, there's two different ways that this could be looked at. It's also like healing your trauma and accepting, you know, the reality of the cards that you were dealt in life, not allowing yourself to see yourself as a victim in life, and forgiving yourself and others for things that have, you know, hurt you in the past and stuff like that. But, you know, let's just see how this goes. Okay. With the Queen of Wands reverse is like, there's some, she's jealous, she's envious, she doesn't have a lot of self-love, she doesn't feel sexy or beautiful. And this could be for a man or woman too. If you're a man watching this, it still applies, right? It's just archetypes, it's a general reading. But this is someone who doesn't feel like a leader in their situation. I just had the, you know, like your birthday wasn't celebrated, and you're not being, if you don't feel like you got your wish, you have a wish and a dream that maybe you're moving towards. Or this could be idealism too. You got a plan. You got a plan, Gemini? All right, so what's the challenge here with this big issue? What is the issue that Gemini Sun is facing? Okay, so Knight of Cups reversed and the Five of Pentacles. This could either be that you feel like an outsider because you're kind of aromantic, or you don't feel like you're charming enough. This could also be you feel like you'll be ostracized when you get too real, when you show your real self, when you're not always perfectly pleasant and nice. Maybe a little bit of both there. I'm on the right track. Okay. Gemini Sun, what is the basis for this situation arising? What caused this to happen? What is the bottom line, the underneath whatever. You know what the fuck I'm trying to say. So give me the cards. Okay. Okay, Queen of Cups reversed. There's some emotional instability here with you. There's... Okay, so what about, though? Oh, not having a purpose or a calling. You don't really know where you fit in with the world. You don't really know who you are in the world. With the Gemini, I can see that there's a little bit too many options. And with all the options, you just sort of, read the cliff notes and move on to the next. It could be that you haven't explored deeply who you are. And there may have been a lot of effort there, but at this point, you still haven't heard that. And I mean, for me, it took me, again, years and years and years to find out what I felt like my purpose was. And still I falter on that. Still I look, like, oh my God, I must be crazy. I think this is never going to work out. There's always moments of doubt. Doubting card. But this is definitely self-doubt energy. All around self-doubt energy. So what is going to happen that will lead to this situation coming to a head for Gemini Sun this year in 2025? What is going to happen that is on the lead up to this? 6 of Cups, King of Cups reversed. So when you offer unconditionally loving support, there could be a jealous attachment. There could be a controlling element. This could be a person or very likely to be a person. But there's this childhood innocence of freely giving with no expectation in return. And this could even be like part of your childhood too. And then there's a person in the situation that uses that against you in a vengeful way. Like you gave everything of yourself to this person and they turned out to be jealous and manipulative and emotionally closed off, emotionally stunted. What is Gemini Sun thinking about through this situation? What's on their mind? I mean, feeling like you aren't smart enough to support yourself or have stability in your life. You're feeling very unstable. And you're feeling like this is a burden not worth having. You want to run from it. What else? And you feel disempowered. The Magician reversed. It's like, I don't have the financial support and stability. This person's trying to financially manipulate me too, potentially. That this burden isn't worth having, but I'm not capable of getting out of it. Or, I want to let go of this responsibility and walk away from it, but I don't want to have to be the one to do it. I just want it taken from me. I just want it to go away. What's the next most likely thing to happen for Gemini Sun in this situation? Oh, okay. 5 of Wands reversed in the Tower. So because you're in such a state of disempowerment, you're not going to want to compete. You're not going to want to argue. And then the Tower will crumble. So the Tower card is a sudden, like, boom, it's over. Something shocking happens that absolutely destroys any hope of going back or repair or, there's no going back from this. Now, if this is in a relationship that you would hope to continue, sometimes that can happen, but it's like this will never be forgotten. We will have to move forward on the basis that this Tower has now crumbled. So the Tower symbolically is a very tall, isolated structure, and it's completely reliant on its foundation for its structural support. It isolates those at the top. It can bring them to great heights, but it also is a long fall. And if the structure was not, if the structure was not built on solid ground, it will have never have lasted for very long. And so metaphorically, that's talking about, this relationship wasn't founded on truth. We were lying to ourselves. You were lying to me about something tangible, even, or, I didn't love myself enough. So I got, caught up with someone who is insecure and jealous and manipulative, or whatever it is. It's like the tower was never built on a firm foundation from the start. And so it's inevitably going to completely crash. Now, this can be remedied now that you're watching this video. If you choose to stand your ground and fight, this will feel like less of a shock to you. This will be less disruptive to your life. I am not saying that whatever this situation is that's coming to a head for you is not going to fall, crash and burn, but it may not crash and burn. It may just slowly crumble away, or you may exit to the tower of your own volition. You still have, has not happened yet, and you still have options here. But this is saying if you continue on this path of, feeling like you don't have power to speak your mind authentically and love yourself, even though you may be a little coarse around the edges, or you may not always say what people want to hear. If you start to change that, your experience of this tower will not be as dramatic. What is Gemini Sun afraid of in 2025? The dream, the ideal, and timing. I mean, you're afraid on missing out on your dreams and ideals. I mean, it's a matter of, if you're one of those people that's like, I'm going to have this by this age, I'm going to do this by this age, and maybe, you're getting kind of caught up on that. Like, I have to make it work with this person, because if I don't, then I won't reach my goal. But it also could just simply be like, you just have this belief system and you're sticking to it about how life is supposed to go, but it always looks different for everyone. And there's no time except our own time. And it's different for everybody. So if we're talking about a person in Gemini Sun's life, how are they showing up? Nine of Wands reversed, and the Nine of Swords reversed. So they are slowly letting down boundaries and letting down their guard to get themselves out of a very anxious mental mind frame. But we also have the Queen of Swords at the base, which still shows they are a very critical and righteous, self-righteous person. So what I mean by that is their way or the highway type of vibe. And I think even going back to this card, it's the challenge of surviving without negotiating the power of your spirit. It's like you're being placed in a situation now with this big issue where it's like, if you feel like you need this situation or this person to survive, how much of yourself are you willing to deny and diminish? Because this person is not budging on their way or the highway. If they're showing you a little bit of like progress here, it's still that's where I was going with, like, you could still build on a new foundation, a new tower with this person, a new castle together, okay? But it requires them to start opening themselves up to other points of view and to not be such a fucking know-it-all and to not be so jealous and controlling because of their own insecurities and everything else. And it requires you, Gemini Sun, to have some self-respect and to, you know how you feel, so stand on it. And I think even going back to this with, like, because you're so emotionally distraught, you're not hearing the calling of your purpose, or just that inner knowing. You don't know it yet. You don't have it yet. you're getting caught up on the details and the surface and what they're doing and why are they this and that and trying to problem solve the whole situation. And you're afraid that you're missing the boat on all of your dreams if you just walk away from this. So you're very intensely trying to figure this out. But all it really takes is just saying how you feel and standing up for your values and your beliefs and your perspective. I see where you want to run from this situation, but you're caught up. You're caught up. This time you can't do it because you feel like you would be walking away from your dreams and your goals if you did that. What does Gemini Sun want out of this situation? What are they hoping for? What is Gemini Sun hoping for? 8 of Wands. Quick communication and resolution potentially. Let's see. What else? Temperance reversed. 7 of Pentacles reversed. Either you want quickly one of two things to happen. Either things get so extreme that they destroy themselves, or that someone just walks away from it all because it's not worth it, whether that's you or them. But you want a quick resolution to this drama, as it's not really your style. And I think, like the High Priestess here, you do want to have some kind of powerful inner knowing that you're making the right decision, because all of your problem solving and fact finding up till now hasn't resulted in that inner knowing, and no one else can answer this question for you. So you're looking for a divine truth, something that's like holistic and includes all parts of yourself, you know, your self-respect and your love for this person or this situation. What is the most likely outcome for Gemini Sun as it stands now? 7 of Swords, a strategy. I'm going to put the strategy in secret, by the way. Okay. You're most likely, as of right now, to come up with a strategy to deal with this situation, but you're not going to have mastery over it. You're not going to know what you're doing, and it's going to feel like you don't know what you're doing. You're going to feel like you don't have support in doing this. You're going to feel like you've never done this before, whatever it is. But it ultimately is about moving towards your financial security. And then the High Priestess comes out as well, where it's like the intuition is forthcoming. It's coming. It's on its way. And I think that that relates to how you're going to put your material security first before this emotional entanglement, before feeling down on yourself, before feeling like you need to ostracize yourself. Like all those things, you're going to intuitionally realize that you need to be able to support yourself for survival needs to be met, for you to be comfortable, for you to be, you know, surrounded in a moderate amount of comfort and luxury, you know, that fits well with your work ethic, your skills and talents, and your abilities. That shows you a tangible, let me get this out. It needs to reflect in a tangible way your inner self, your strengths, your values, your the things that are, yeah, your strengths, like the things that you're good at. And it doesn't play too much on your weaknesses either. Ultimately, it looks like you're going to make a practical choice and it will feel guided, whatever the situation is. So, because I still don't know what the hell we're talking about, hopefully you do. Let's get the as above deck to get more clarity on Gemini Sun's situation in 2025, their big issue, feeling like they can't be themselves because they feel like they would be turned out, turned away, and if they don't speak their mind soon, everything's going to come crashing down. And ultimately, you got to do what makes the most sense practically, in a practical sense. Gemini Sun. I guess I kind of understand it. We're getting there. Okay, Gemini Sun. On a spiritual level, how are you showing up in this situation? You're an abundantly joyful person. That's the truth of who you are. You have a never-ending resource of love and support for life. You can always find resources. You're very resourceful, pragmatic too. And so what's challenging to Gemini Sun from a spiritual perspective? What's challenging them? You don't have the emotional reserves that's needed to authentically be yourself. You haven't filled your own cup. You haven't built yourself up. You haven't spent enough time affirming yourself to the point where it's habit, it's second nature, it's truly believed, it's known. And one thing that practical and pragmatic people or highly logical people may have trouble with doing this is, I need something around me to prove to me that I'm, all these things that I would be telling myself if I were to be emotionally affirming myself and giving love to myself. And I say to that, they're all around you. They're all around all of us. You're a wife or a husband, you're a mother or a daughter or a son or a father, or you have a unique perspective and point of view. You've overcome trials in your life. You have a skill or a talent. There's any number of things that are all around you right now. And I think if you make unfair comparisons to yourself, particularly if you're young or if you're just getting into a new phase in your life where you've never been before and you don't have experience, how are you going to compare yourself to someone who's already been there, done that for 10, 20, 30 years and, already has it figured out, or they came from a different background where this wasn't their problem? They had a different problem, one that you probably never even thought of. They have a different issue entirely from you that was very hard on them, because everybody does. The only thing that's fair in life is unfair circumstances. I'm telling you now, don't make unfair comparisons, because you don't know what the hell that person's been through and what ways that you've benefited from not having gone through that. It's like each of us have so many trials that other people would never imagine themselves being strong enough to deal with. But then other people at the same time have been through that, and it didn't even occur to them that that was any big deal at all. It's like our experience of the things that happen to us in our life is very personal. And that's why we can't compare ourselves to others. So what is the spiritual basis for why Gemini Sun is going through this right now? Tower reversed. You're being asked to build yourself back up. 10 of Cups, family situation. This could even be family trauma or generational trauma. And then the Maiden of Air. Oh, you are being asked to heal generational trauma right now, because there is a pattern in your family of people, women, but maybe just people, okay? This is a very female deck, so I don't really want to go there particularly. But people in your family, whether that's parents, grandparents, or way back when, and maybe everybody, right? It could be a pattern that they are very negative to themselves. They have a lot of negative self-talk. They have not learned how to fill their emotional reserves so that they can withstand the ups and downs in life, because they know that they are worthy, and even when they're wrong, they still are worthy. Even when they make a mistake, they still are worthy. You're being asked to heal that generational trauma and build that tower back up on the firm foundation of emotional self-love and worthiness, regardless of how many times you fuck up, or who likes you and doesn't like you, or what mistakes you make, or what you achieve or don't achieve in life. You have intrinsic value as a human being, and you're being asked to cultivate that now. What situation triggered this being the time is right for this? What situation triggered this opportunity for Gemini Sun? There was an ending of a desire in you to continually mismanage your mental state. Whether that was having a lot of chronic anxiety, intrusive thoughts, being hard on yourself. It was just like, I don't want to go on with this anymore. You learned enough about it to know that it had to stop. You know what the issue is, but the question is, what do we do about it? So what is the highest possible outcome available for Gemini Sun given the situation? Ace of Swords reversed. And the element of water. Oh, and the Ace of Pentacles also. All aces. With the Ace of Swords reversed, it's leaving behind potent energy related to mental states and thoughts, and even just like, if you're a person that you take people and what they say very, very seriously, like you take it to heart, there's a new opportunity for you to see beyond that to the emotional aspect behind it, and have a greater understanding of what emotion led this person to say that thing or believe that thing or communicate in that manner. And this will afford you a lot more security, new opportunities, because you're going to understand people better. That changes everything. What does Gemini Sun need to do next to move forward for the best possible outcome? Six of Swords reversed, the Two of Cups. Wow. If this is a relationship that you're already in, you have to be willing to go into troubled waters. The thing that you don't want to say, you have to say it. If this is like you've been in a relationship and then it was over and now you're scared to get back into another relationship, you have to know that arguments are part of the deal. Because with the Two of Cups, these are two different people that are coming together for a shared goal, a project, the relationship, okay? If you wanted to get married to yourself, then you could just do that, I guess. I mean, there's a reason why the people that we get into relationships with are often so very different from us in a lot of key ways. Because you're stronger together. You fill in for each other, where one has a weakness, the other has a strength, and vice versa. But that also means you're going to have different ways of communicating, different values, different ways you handle your money. If those things aren't communicated, then it just stays surface level and never goes anywhere. The tower cannot be built because it's on the surface. I'm really impressing myself right now with uh these whatever metaphors. Um you cannot build a tower if you stay on the surface. And in order for the tower to last, you have to go underground to build the foundation. So you have to be willing to get into some arguments, have some disagreements, and know that real love that's worth committing to, that feeds yourself the way that you need to feed into yourself now to be prepared to go into this, right? It can withstand all those things. And it's worth it. What's the word of warning for Gemini Sun in this situation? What's the word of warning? Strength. Chariot reversed. 5 Cups reversed. You know, it's almost saying, like, if you don't take initiative and take control over the situation, it's not even control, like, because this is letting go of control. The Chariot reversed. It's almost saying, if you don't take responsibility, then you are letting go of control of your own healing. And this integration as well from the dark to the light. And, you know, we saw with like the Queen of Wands reversed right at the very beginning. These unlovable aspects of yourself are still a part of yourself. And they have a place in this world. And it can be hard to find. And it's still going to create some friction sometimes. But it's still a requirement that you honor that part of yourself and just say, not everybody likes it. It doesn't always win me a lot of friends or a lot of opportunities or, you know, but it is me. And those things do serve you in some way. And so I would recommend looking, and I just did this recently for myself, so this is fresh in my mind. I would recommend looking for the ways that those things that can cause you the most friction and the things that you feel like you would want to change the most about yourself, look for the ways that those things would actually make you quite powerful, empowered, unique, creative, just whatever it is. So, for Gemini Sun, if there's a person that they are thinking of and watching this reading, what is in their best interest? 10 of Swords, an ending. With total clarity on why the fuck. Oh, yeah. And it needs to be done in a strategic way. That's crazy. I mean, they need to hear exactly why it ain't gonna work, or why we need to make a plan going forward. But this can't continue. It's in their best interest to hear from you. Because in every way that you've been trying to shield them from, you know, the parts of yourself that you don't like, or be super sweet to them or whatever, you're depriving them of knowing who you actually are and knowing where they stand with you. What is the word of solace for Gemini Sun in this situation? Word of solace for Gemini Sun in this situation. Word of solace from Source. 4 of Cups reverse, accepting something that it may not be ideal leads to your dreams coming true. Accepting the parts of yourself that you'd rather reject will lead to your ideal life, a balanced life that includes dreams that you haven't even dreamed of yet. Those dreams that you're afraid of missing out on, they're available on the path, on the journey. You have no chance of missing out on them. The only thing that you have to do to ensure that is to accept the parts of yourself that you currently are trying to suppress and diminish because they're not pretty, cute, well-liked, whatever the fuck it is. Socially acceptable. Whatever it is. If you radically accept all parts of yourself, you will have access to your dreams. And the way that happens is so complex and it's such a long story, right? Like, we're not going to get into all that. You just have to believe it. Because one thing leads to another in this process. Wow. 10 of Pentacles. The whole world is at your doorstep. Everything that you could want with Venus. Love, money, luxury, attracting whatever it is. Attraction. The parts that you're not attracted to in yourself, someone else will find attractive. Could we have just begun and ended with that? Like, I really feel like that's ultimately all it is. You're not banging yourself. You're That's not the goal. The only goal is to be authentic. So that someone can come towards you and love you for who you actually are because you've shown your authentic self. And they're not loving a shadow of yourself or a mirror version or your own idealized version. And you will attract with Venus someone who's also authentic so that you won't be confused by why they're doing this and that. And you'll see through to the emotion of the reality of who they are. You won't have to worry. You'll know them well because they've been authentic with you and you with them. And whatever arguments you may have, the truth is on the table. Now it's just down to compromise. Far easier when you know that both parties are really saying everything that they actually feel. Let's get a card of advice for you to wrap it up, Gemini Sun. The Sea of Mintaka, seeing potential, bringing unconsciousness to light. Yeah, I mean, potential, look at that. It's crazy potential for you. T? No. Okay. Mintaka is thought to have been a water-based planet containing the most crystal clear waters that you could ever imagine, so clear that you could see for miles and miles underwater. The Seas of Mintaka card represents this crystalline clarity of potential and possibility. It's about the ability and choice to see the potential in all people and situations. This could be one of your natural traits, or it could be a sign that what you're currently doing has great potential. Mintakans are thought to have been a galactic race who saw the light in everything and everyone. You may have received this card as confirmation that a situation or project has extreme potential and will reach fruition. If it appears in a spread, it's a very positive sign that things are working out for the highest potential of all involved. It's a very uplifting, light-filled card that brings great harmony, contentment, and positive outcomes. According to Carl Jung, that which we do not bring to consciousness appears in our life as fate. When water appears in dreams and art, it often represents the unconscious mind. Pulling this card also means you may be called to bring to light any unconscious patterns of which you're unaware, to look at them and see them clearly and consciously so they don't appear in your life as fate. What unconscious patterns or behaviors are ready to be brought to the light of day? I mean, it's ultimately like if you had a bad relationship because you weren't being authentic and you didn't have your emotional well-being in check and you were looking to others to feed you, then of course you're going to run into someone who is similarly inclined to show you yourself. Relationships mirror us. They show us who we are. It's the craziest experience. And I mean, it's challenging. But ultimately, accepting those parts of yourselves, the unhealed parts of yourselves that have been so self-critical, will let you see with such clarity that all of that worrying about problem solving and wanting to make the right choice about a person or a situation or whatever it is, it's like you'll gain that clarity once you accept the totality of who you are as being correct, good, right. Well, Gemini Sun, I hope that was helpful for you. Thank you so much for letting me read for you today. If you like that, please give me a like or a subscribe. I also do monthly readings for relationships for Venus signs. And I also do monthly rising sign checkups as well to keep you updated with everything that's going on. So until I see you next time, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.